Jesse Sills, was that a surprise? And any comment on him? And as far as you know, is he the only one that's going to go in the transfer portal?
Well, I mean, first of all, Desi, had 2 great years. While we've been here, and obviously with Coach Anderson, we wish him nothing but the best. Big part of our culture and helped build it, and had a lot of different roles for us. So we want nothing but the best for him. And then regarding the portal, I mean, I'm not sure in any sport anybody knows what's going to happen from day to day. That's just all you need to do is look at what's gone on in our own conference and look across the board in college basketball. So, I think it's just kind of the nature of kind of where college hoops is right now.
Thanks.
Jason Carroll.
When you look back, Coach, at what you guys had to go through the last 3 weeks, I mean, how much did that really change the landscape of what you guys were able to do, being closer together, and what's it like being out of the bubble now?
It's good to be out of the bubble. From a personal standpoint, I can tell you that for sure, Jason. Do we wish we were still in there? Yeah, we do. It was really good bonding, to be honest with you, because we were together, basically all hours. I mean, even, how often as a college coach are you living on the same floor with your team for 20 days? It's just never happens. You know what I mean? I mean, nobody locked their doors. There was the hotel room doors were, open with the little latch, and you could kind of pop in on anyone. And some guys are playing cards and other guys are playing video games. And, the staff was getting together at all hours of the night to talk about game planning. But, great experience, I think, a lot of positives, but not, not easy, either. It's big time sacrifice. But it's incredible experience to be able to pull off the tournament, in the middle of the pandemic, and a lot of unknowns going in. And I thought everybody, players, administrators, everybody did a great job, while in the bubble there. And to think that just one team was affected, to some degree, that's amazing too. When you think about, 60 plus teams in college, college student athletes, at their age, and only one team was affected is really unbelievable.
Bob Holt.
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
I'm good, Bob.
Moses, he's been projected as an NBA, like every website that does NBA draft projects him as a first rounder, maybe a lottery pick. What are you anticipating from Moses? Have you guys had discussions about that, and you just assume he's going to enter the draft and go, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Bob, I have not talked with Moses, or his father. I mean, it's, you got to think, like, we just got back, the other day, and Moses and KK were just in the training room, both of them getting rehab, and both of them were in great spirits. KK finally got his boot off, where he can walk around for parts of the day without his boot on. And Moses was just doing some rehab as well, getting his body right. So I have not talked to Moses yet. I know that I'm sure we'll sit down at the right time. Whatever Moses and his family feel is in their best interest, I'm 1,000% support. Our whole coaching staff is. He had an incredible year, awesome young man to coach. And, so again, I'm assuming that, there'll be, at the right time, those conversations will take place, Bob.
How many NBA teams, and you obviously have a lot of friends in pro ball, how many NBA teams reached out to you about Moses, just asking what you thought about him and things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think much of that goes on during the year. I really don't, Bob. I mean, I think that a lot of that stuff starts over the next couple of weeks. Certainly in the past, that's been the case. I'd have to gather up all the assistant coaches right now and get each of them to find out. But I mean, we've been so focused on our own year that it wouldn't, do any good to say who has, who hasn't, how many. I know that Hayes usually keeps a running document of that stuff, especially as it gets closer to draft time.
And I know during the year you indicated the seniors probably were all going to be ready to move on after this year, but technically, they do have an extra year of eligibility. Has anything changed in that regard, or you assume all the seniors are ready to move on?
Yeah, I mean, maybe Bob, I just have a little bit different philosophy, but the three that were with us, they're all going to move on, and I know for sure with Jalen and Justin, I mean, those guys, and Vance, I'm going to assume all three are going to go try to get their pro career started. And I was fortunate to have that conversation with Jalen yesterday. Certainly, Justin did a great job, especially, towards the end of the season. I think he really, really helped himself a great deal. And then Vance, I know that he's had his name in the early entry draft process before. And having coached at the G League level and the NBA level and the European level, I mean, at some point you're going to start at a certain spot, and then your career is going to grow. And I think all those guys, I mean, it's time for them to go pursue their dreams of playing professional basketball. And so are they coming back? Any of them? No. They're to my knowledge, that's the direction, and I would also encourage that. I mean, we'd love to have them all back selfishly, but look, if you're a European level player, it usually takes you 2 or 3 years to go from, let's say, second division in a country to top division. There's a time process, that a player has to, kind of grow his game again. And so, and it's the same thing if a player starts off in the G League and then he works his way up so, why not start that process now? That's to me, that's what's fair for our three seniors. I mean, they've done a great job academically, and they were graduates coming in, and it's time for them to probably go pursue their dreams.
And if losing the seniors, obviously losing good players. If Moses goes in the draft, obviously you're losing a great player, but you still have, Devo back, Jalen, JD, a lot of good players back. And I know you've signed some good guys. I know you're going to bring in some other good guys. How do you feel about the core you have back, what you're adding, and then what you guys could be like again next year?
Well, we got a lot of work ahead of us. We have some really, really incredible, pieces moving forward. You mentioned those guys, Bob. But just like last year, we added some, you think about last year at this time, adding the 4 freshmen and adding the 3 grad transfers. That was 7 pretty good players. And we're going to have to add to our roster now. I mean, it's we have some spots open, and we're going to recruit really, really hard. And I was a little bit late because we just got a commitment that we're overly excited about. If you guys can check Twitter, you can see, who just committed and signed, and he's going to be an incredible piece for us moving forward.
I guess you can't comment on him specifically, right?
No, I think I can actually.
Okay, well, how about it?
That's why I was late, Bob. I was trying to get the paperwork in to let you guys know.
Okay, well, what can you say about your newest hog?
Does anyone know who committed?
Yeah, you got
from Pitt,
Pittsburgh
right?
transfer.
Tony.
Yeah, DC Tony is 6'6", 210. Averaged over 14 points in a really good conference, 6 rebounds a game, averaged 2.3 assists, 46% from the field. what I would consider a positionless basketball player. And if you look historically over, whether it was, at Nevada or here, those positionless players that can play 5 positions are so valuable. And that's what we think we're getting with DC. I'm ecstatic. We've been recruiting him throughout the entire NCAA tournament run, and it's been great to get to know he and his mom and dad, and I'm really excited. I really am. He's we needed a versatile guy, and he's going to be able to provide us so much because he can basically play any position on the floor.
I got a couple more. I'll turn it back to Mike, and if you come back around to me, that'd be awesome. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Bob. I knew you
Scotty.
guys were going to hit me with some tough questions, so we had to break some good news.
Go ahead, Scotty.
Yeah, Coach, I just wanted to get your thoughts on what Justin's basketball future may hold, and how big he was down the stretch of the season, playing so efficiently, and at the same time he's adding things to his game, like that Antoine Jameson push shot.
Yeah, I think, Scotty, it's just been incredible to see his growth, really from a confidence standpoint as much as anything. I mean, he took a leap of faith to come here. There was no prior relationship. Nobody in his inner circle had I ever met before, whether it was his mom, his father, his trainer. I didn't know anybody really, and we were able to recruit him and get him here. And I don't think when he went in the portal that he was thinking of playing at Arkansas or playing in this conference. And when a player takes a big time leap of faith and there's no real connection anywhere, and then you see it, work out like it did, and it's kind of the same thing with Jalen Tate. It's really neat. But I think that he's played himself into potentially being an NBA draft pick. And I don't think that that's where he was. Well, I know he was not there a year ago, and we're just happy that he had the platform. And then I'm really proud of him. You mentioned the push shot. I mean, he added that as the season went along, and he had a heck of a year, and he was so outstanding down the stretch that I really think he's put himself in a good position to play at the next level.
I just want a little bit more on DC. Like, when I guess you're looking at film of him when he's playing well, what's he doing well? What's he bringing to the table?
Yeah, I mean, he can do a lot of things, Scotty. I mean, when we've talked about DC, it's been ability to make a three, ability to beat people off the bounce, ability to isolate, a great transition player, a proven player in a Power 5 conference. It's hard to get a proven player in a Power 5 conference. It's hard to find a positionless guy. You look at the success of Mason Jones and Isaiah Joe, and I think this year Jalen Tate and Justin Smith, like those guys that are in that 6'5" to 6'8" range that can play multiple positions. I think it's a great fit for us, and I think it's going to be a really great fit for him as a player as well.
Ty.
Yeah, Eric, I know Bob talked to Hunter a little while ago about your contract situation. Is that something you let Jordan handle 100%, or are you involved in that process?
Yeah, no, I'm involved. Hunter and I talked even today. So yeah, I think Hunter, he's a incredible communicator, and so I think like a lot of that stuff Hunter and I will talk about, because it's in college, I think you can talk to your athletic director about stuff like that. It might be a little bit different at the NBA level and with the NBA ownership or NBA GM, but Hunter and I, we talk all the time. We talked again this morning, and I think he believes in the direction that we're going, and we certainly believe in his leadership, and he gave me an opportunity to coach here, and so I think everything is good right now, and I think it's going to continue to be good.
I know he called you right after the Sweet 16 win over Texas Tech, and I don't know if you saw the video of him celebrating while he's on the phone with you. What's it like to have an athletic director that doesn't just care about the financials, but has a highly competitive side to him, especially with his basketball background?
No, it's awesome. I mean, because when Hunter and I, we can talk hoops, and he understands the game inside and out. I mean, he can come to practice and read what's going on. I'll kind of walk over even in the middle of practice, and we'll talk about things. I think he's got a great grasp for, rotations. And so when we talk, it's not just kind of peripheral stuff. I mean, we can get into, the meats and potatoes, we can really dive into basketball talk. And that makes the relationship a little bit unique for sure.
Hayden.
Hey, Coach, I was just kind of curious throughout the journey of this season with COVID and wearing a mask and getting a bunch of Arkansas kids together with a bunch of seniors and transfers and going all the way to the Elite Eight. But personally for you, how much did you learn about yourself as a coach? And I know you take pride on evolving each year, but just kind of personally describe this year and how you evolved.
Yeah, I mean, I think we evolved just kind of understanding that, you couldn't let outside things really factor, we had to just kind of have tunnel vision for practices and tunnel vision the way that we traveled, to road games. And I think I learned to become a little bit more patient. I mean, really the only time all year that I thought the challenges of COVID in the season, I didn't really think it affected, many of us all season long until maybe we got to the bubble. I even felt like at the SEC tournament, from a mental standpoint and a preparation standpoint, I felt like, it was pretty normal, but the last 20 days was definitely a challenge for all of us, whether it was practice time or, I mentioned it before, just getting up at 10:30 at night and doing a COVID test at 10:30 p.m. the night before a game is, something that none of us could ever envision. So just a lot of challenges, Hayden, but really proud of how all of us, the entire coaching staff, the training staff, the players, how everybody handled it.
Thank you, sir.
Nate.
Just how important is this offseason for Connor as far as, I know he got sick last year, and as far as kind of getting to play as much as he did early in the year, as far as, getting his strength and everything up?
Yeah, Nate, I think that the off season is really important to all the guys. Certainly with Connor, the weight and the strength, becomes something. And then with all of our guys, like lateral quickness, power, putting on the right weight, all those things are important across the board, for all of our guys. I mean, I could go, player by player, and say, hey, this player needs to work on this particular aspect. Even like Jalen Williams, like he was so good for us, but he's got to continue to get his wind and conditioning even better because he plays so hard. There was times where he got a little bit winded, and a lot of that was because he, was out for a little bit of time, like before the NCAA tournament. So a lot of things that all of us can get better at. Coaching staff's got a lot of areas we want to continue to improve on, as well as each and every player on our roster as well, Nate.
Thank you.
Jason Carroll.
So you got Tony. What else are you looking for in the portal? What do you guys need to, after you've gone through this season, know what you have coming back? What do you need to add to this roster, do you think?
Yeah, Jason, I mean, I think that's a great question. I mean, what we're going to look at is, as soon as I get off of this, because literally, the DC Tony commitment making it final, literally happened while we were, I was jumping on this with the paperwork and everything. And so I'll go look at our depth chart as a staff, and we've had some Zooms, and we'll continue to have Zooms, and we just want the right fit. And when you talk to players, you can kind of get a feel if it's a good fit off the floor and on the floor. And, again, I think that, the player that's kind of plays that positionless basketball at times, seems to be a great fit for us. So we're just going to try to really, Jason, look for the guys that want to be here, and also the guys that, we feel fit both on the floor and off the floor.
And you think you need to add some more outside shooting? Is that something that, as you look at it, is the 3-point shot somewhere that you're looking at adding?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like all of us, and you go talk to an NBA team, they want 3-point shooting. You can talk to a high school coach or a college. I think that we would like that. But having said that, like what style and what identity are we going to be next year? I really don't know. Obviously, we're losing, shooting, as every team does every off season. We're losing, the versatility of Tate and Smith. Those guys guarded the best players every single night. And then obviously Devo evolved to that, which is incredible to have a defensive stopper that is coming back. But for the bulk of the season, games 1 to the very end, Smith and Tate were our versatile defenders. So I think it's, I think maybe on the outside you can look and say, hey, add shooting, but in reality, we won a lot of games based on 2 guys being great defenders for us. And so I don't want to lose that either, Jason. And I think we added one of those today, which is why this commitment was so important.
Kyle.
Kind of piggybacking on this conversation about what the roster looks like moving forward, we talked about sort of blending these talented in-state freshmen with transfers. Can you see that formula being replicated for years to come when you look at all the in-state talent coming your way out of this state? Like, is that kind of the formula, I guess, for success at Arkansas for years to come, you think?
Well, I think college, it really depends on the year. Obviously as of, today, as far as, freshmen, Chance is headed this way, and that'll probably be the only incoming, freshman. Now, certainly, future years look like, maybe like this year's team where we could potentially have multiple, in state. So I think it just depends on the talent level, and then, which players, want to be a Razorback as well. So I think if you asked any college coach today what the formula is, it's literally changing minute by minute. Because when these numbers come in on the portal, it's going to be unprecedented. It's never happened before. The numbers. I mean, we're already at 1,000. So I mean, it's just different. There's it used to be, maybe a 4th man or a 5th man on a team, or a 6th or 7th or 8th or 10th, 11th, 12th. I mean, now stars are putting their name in there. And so it's just completely different landscape.
Bob Holt.
Eric, Kamani Johnson, how did he do when he joined the team in practice, and what are you anticipating from him? And then hopefully, when do you think KK will be 100% where he can go full go and off season, and what are you anticipating from him?
Yeah, Bob, as far as KK, I don't really know, because like I said, the boot just came off, and then he's going to wear it half a day and half a day without it. So I think to speculate on that, it's probably going to be a couple more, doctor's appointments. And then, I mean, we're not going to rush him back. We want slow, methodical rehab to get him back, 100%. There's no rush right now at this, time in the calendar to do anything but have patience. And then Kamani's a high volume free throw attempt player. He, at times this year, I was like, yo, back off, because because he's physical, and I didn't want anybody to get hurt because, like, when he goes to the rim, I mean, he's a physical dude who seeks contact. He's got a similar body frame as Justin, but he's got great strength, and obviously you're going to be able to put him in situations where he can try to get your team in the early bonus quickly. We want to continue to work on his perimeter shooting, but he's going to be a tenacious rebounder and a guy that really, really puts a ton of pressure on the rim.
Well, with KK, whenever he does get healthy, I mean, presumably by the fall at least, what do you anticipate he can bring? I mean, you got to see him play a little bit this year before he got hurt, but what do you think he can bring to the table next year?
Yeah, I mean, KK he's confident. He's got great speed. He's a really good shooter. And, it's interesting when we went and back and watched our Earl Roberts prep, he had a big time block on Max Asmus. It was a big time block. If anyone digs back and looks at that, and it was an on the ball, guarding the guy, goes up for a shot and blocks it, which, at KK size, you're not anticipating that happening. But I think the big thing, let's just get him healthy. He's got great leadership. He's got a great voice. He now understands our verbiage and all that stuff as well.
Yeah, with Connor, he had some really good moments for you, and then obviously, he didn't hardly play in the NCAA tournament. I know, you can't mess around in those games and experiment, but what has Connor got to do specifically to maybe be in a situation where you feel better playing him more consistently in different situations?
Yeah, I think, continue to add strength, continuing to add mobility, to continue to add weight. Certainly we all know about, Connor's ability to knock down three balls, but, I think he's getting down low and being a 7'3" player, utilizing his post-up game. We've got to continue to work on Connor drawing fouls as well. The free throws attempted per minute's got to improve. But just with his size and his touch, scoring around the rim is going to, it's important for his development personally, and then also for the team as well.
And in the fall and the summer, I know you were optimistic because that's your nature, but a lot of people were wondering if there could be a basketball season because COVID. Your football team, you lose 10 or 12 guys. Well, you can go on. It's not ideal, but you can go on. Basketball, you lose 10 or 12 guys, you're screwed. What did you think about the way you guys were able to, everybody, we had a basketball season. It was different, but we had one. We're having a tournament. We're going to crown a champion. Just how good do you feel about just, the way everybody was able to get through this?
I think our whole athletic department, it's been incredible from a positive standpoint. For the most part, we've just been playing, and we haven't had any real hiccups as an athletic department, not just men's basketball, but I know for us, we only lost one game all year, and it was not due to the Razorbacks not being able to play. And you look at all the other sports on campus, I don't know if there's been a game missed on campus that was due to, the Razorback side of things. And I think that just gets back to our leadership as well.
Or the portal, you're like the king of the portal, but like you said, there's over 1,000 guys in there. I read there's going to be maybe 1,400. I know you guys want to do your due diligence and homework, but how do you decide? I know you don't contact 1,000 guys, but how do you decide, sort of whittle it down? Here's who we want to go after, and how challenging is that, even for a staff as dedicated as you guys are to that?
Really challenging, Bob. My wife was not happy last night at all. I was on the phone until about 12:30 last night, and I got up at 5 this morning. It's hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, we landed here, let's say roughly got back to the office at 11, and we did 3 Zooms that night. The first night back after being away from our families, but I don't really control the timeline of how this goes, and neither does our staff. So people are going into the portal much earlier this year than they have in the past. And, don't believe everything you read about the portal and who Arkansas is interested in. There's a difference between making a phone call and interest. There's a strategy behind it. Some players might get a call and there might not be real interest. It just might be an inquiry or a smoke screen or whatever you want to call it. And then, but the evaluation part is really the most important part, especially with this many guys. You've got to clearly identify what your team needs and clearly identify what a player can do. And then we have statistical formulas that we've created, not any outside company, we've created internally from the last 6 years that we continue to build on, where we plug a player from one conference in, and then how do we project them as an SEC player? And we had that down really well in the Mountain West, and now we feel after the last couple of years that same formula can help us moving forward in the SEC. So film work, phone work, Zooms, and then that kind of weeds itself out, both ways. I mean, some players, might not be confident in their own ability and might, this might not be the place for them. And then there's other players that are competitors and want to be here and want to try to play at a high level. So there's a lot of different factors that go into the transfer portal for sure.
I've got one more, if you could bear with me. I know how much you love it. Hunter's made no secret of the fact that, he's going to do a new contract for you, and he talks to your agent all the time, talks to you all the time. How confident are you that you're going to be presented with the deal that you're going to be very happy with and is going to make you want to stay here for the long term?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's been any, hesitation at all from my end or from Hunter's end or, my bosses, I have two bosses, Hunter and Danielle. And, I think that, both of my bosses feel strongly about, the same thing as I do, which is, we have something, really cool going right now. We've established, a culture. I think that not only have we established a culture, but nationally right now, when we pick up the phone, recruits understand that we were just in an Elite Eight. That's elite company. We finished the regular season. We were a top 10 team in the country. I think it was, ranked 8th in the country. And so there's a lot of really good momentum. And so we want to just continue to build on what has been created, thus far over the last 24 months.
Okay, thanks.
So I'm confident.
Do what?
I said I'm confident something will be good.
Okay, good deal. I'm too old to keep doing coaching searches, man.
Jason Carroll, final question, please.
Hey, Coach, I wonder what the ride was like for you guys with the fans. 4 to 5 times Arkansas fans over your opponents while you were in Indianapolis, and seeing the state come together. And I know you knew what the fans were like because of the games at Bud Walton Arena, even if it was limited crowds. What was that like to see the fan base, be a part of the fan base, celebrate with them during that run, and then know everybody back here was on your bus kind of going along with you guys?
No, Jason, it was incredible. Everybody, our players felt it. It's weird because it really wasn't a true experience, because those hotels are usually popping with fans and the band and cheer and we were missing all that. But then it was really weird. Like when we, got our police escort to practice or the games, you would see Razorback fans walking around, certainly by our buses, a lot of enthusiasm, I guess maybe sometimes too much of enthusiasm for the higher ups, worried about if we were getting too close to our fans but great passion in Indianapolis. I saw more Razorback passion, to be honest with you, than anybody else, anybody else's crowd or fans. And I would anticipate that next year in Bud Walton, we are going to have an incredible environment on the very first night. Not not waiting for conference games. I think the non-conference first game, our building will be rocking. And I think that's what happens, in these type of situations. When you make a good run, sometimes you really, really start to see the momentum, that next year. And that's what I truly believe in my heart will happen is we'll have an incredible atmosphere from the very first game next year.
Okay, Coach, appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Okay.
Coach.
Hey,
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.